Mado, do you want to just start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. So I am a classical pianist. I've been living in St. John's for the past 5 years, and mainly working at Memorial University's School of Music. And I also am a voracious reader. I love many different genres of books, and I love the Libby app and the public library. Um, yeah, I'm also a writer myself, so
Oh, that's exciting. Maybe we'll get to feature you sometime. That'll be exciting.
that'd be very exciting. Yes.
Okay, so we're here today to talk about Urchin by Kate Story, which you have generously agreed to serve as advocate for. Thank you very much for that. And can I ask you, why did you want to advocate for this book for NL Reads?
I wanted to advocate for this book because as a non-binary person who loved to read myself, I thought, what a fantastic opportunity to see what's available for young readers today, and to try to broadcast the available options, especially for young non-binary readers, but also for all young readers and readers of any age, to see a prominently featured non-binary character who has adventures and who has experiences outside of just coming into their own and into their identity, but who also discusses that experience of discovering who they are very prominently in a book for young readers. So.
Yeah. This is a book for young readers. Oh, I have to say, when I read the book, it didn't have the stickers on it yet, so I did not actually realize this was YA at the time.
Right.
So do you read much YA yourself?
I don't anymore. Yeah, I definitely, I had my stint, but I've been really out of touch with kind of contemporary young adult fiction, which I think is, it's unfortunate because I know that there are so many incredible things happening in YA today. So I really, this was kind of a reminder that I should really get back into it.
Yeah, I was impressed too. Like yourself, I don't read a ton of YA, but I was impressed how mature this was, even though it was a story about a young person. I guess they're in their act of maturing, finding,
yes.
I think that sort of maturing, that finding of identity. I mean, that's something obviously that's very present in, the trans, queer, non-binary community, but also I think it's universal as well. People are learning who they are, what they like, how they want to express themselves. Everyone goes through that, which I think is one of the neat. Putting that in adolescence makes it a little more universal, possibly. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's such a good point, that anyone can really relate to the experience of not really understanding who you are, and having experiences that challenge your concept of yourself, and having experiences that affirm your concept of yourself. Kind of all of those things. We all go through them at certain points, and especially in that kind of developmental age.
Mm-hmm. One thing I found recently, I had to try to sum up this book in a sentence. When it was about.
How did that go?
You mentioned the adventures earlier, in as well as, obviously there's quite a lot about Dora's identity and her growth, their growth, but there's so many adventures in this book. There's so much happening. Like, how would you describe the plot of this book? I won't limit your word choice, but how would you describe what actually happens in this book?
This is a book about a very fast-paced, almost infiltration story, a story of it almost has heist aspects of kind of, shielding your identity to gain access to a very quick, a very short window of opportunity to participate in and gain information about this mysterious signal passing that Marconi was experimenting on in St. John's. And so that's one level of the plot. And then there's another level of self-discovery and identity making, where Dor is given the opportunity to dress in different clothing and kind of comes into understanding about their own identity and experience through that experimentation. There's a love story at the center of it as well, and a framing narrative as well that doesn't get much page time, but that where we understand more mysteries have happened and more tragedies and more triumphs have happened kind of on either side of this very short window that we get for the full book. And then it's also a fairy story, a story of the magic that is inherent to a place and the magic that is inherent to different families and that has been passed along through generations, and both the threats that magic poses and the opportunities that magic provides.
Yeah, I was really interested because one thing in Newfoundland culture that is similar to, I guess, Irish culture and some others, but not universal, is this idea that fairies are horrifying.
Mm.
And I like that this book had your horrifying fairies. Is that something you were expecting? I know, like, were you aware of that element going in, or was that a bit more of a surprise to you?
Yeah,
I was really scary.
Right. The fairies were definitely scary. I was really struck by the degree to which this story leaned into the horror aspect of fairies. So that's interesting. So that's, I mean, I'm not a Newfoundlander myself. So I'm a come from away. So I don't have that. So. Yes. Yeah. I'm very grateful to be here, but I don't have that, that cultural context, I guess. I know from reading that fairies, you know, can take all kinds of forms. But I was really surprised at there were so many visceral images that will stay with me for, I don't know, I don't know if I'll ever be able to forget them. You know, I'll just mention the word snails and, and if you know, you know. So I was surprised and really delighted to find that just like in so many aspects of this story that they operate as both threat and both possibility.
Right. And the possibility too, because this world between worlds, this, you know, this kind of liminal space, I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase it, but when you kind of tie that into some of the odd characters that are in the neighborhood. So there's kind of is this person just the strange person who lives down the street, or is this person, you know, a magical person? And that kind of in it as well serves as a metaphor for the, you know, the gender fluidity, I think, as well. Because it's this idea that things aren't hard and fast. Things aren't one or the other necessarily, which is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we get very few definitive answers to a lot of the questions that are raised, which is such a great way to have the book kind of expand beyond its existing parameters of these however many pages. It'll continue to, you know, people will continue to ruminate on it.
Yeah. Dor definitely is a character that lives in my mind now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Goes on. But to take it back a little bit, you talked about the magic of the place, and of course, the specific magic of the place is Southside Road, Signal Hill, but Old St. John's is still very much a character in this book as well, I think. You know, it's a few years after the fire. Dor mentions at one point that they are older than the city, because the city is still in the process of being rebuilt. There's character writing for the Telegram. It still feels very, you know, Dor goes to Spencer's school. Dor is running up and down Prescott Street. You know, there's so much you can like pick at and identify and be like, okay, I'm in this place now as well. Have you read many books that were set in St. John's, or is that kind of a new fun?
I haven't. It is absolutely fun. It's very fun. I haven't read enough. I'll say I haven't read enough books set in St. John's.
Mm-hmm.
I love reading about St. John's, and I had this is kind of part of the collection of books that I've read recently where I recognize St. John's as home.
Mm,
And that's a pretty powerful experience. So I've had that experience as well with Lisa Moore's collection, Something for Everyone,
right.
where St. John's also features, not in every story, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a very particular aspect of yeah, St. John's as home. Anyway, for me, in my experience of reading that book, and it was similar here, where again, like not having the history of the city at my fingertips, there was still this sense of recognition, and yeah, like you mentioned, Prescott Street and all these familiar names um, put me grounded me in the space while also still giving me so much information about the history of the place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I see a connection as well to there's a central kind of through line that keeps being brought up about the ship of Theseus and
Mm,
how things is something the same or a new thing if every aspect of it has been replaced. And for a city that went through such a horrific fire, I can absolutely understand, like, if so much has had to be replaced, um, what remains of the core of the city when so much has had to be rebuilt.
okay, so we're a few minutes into our chat now, so we're probably going to have to tie up soon. So let's hear your pitch for NL Reads. Why should people read Urchin? Why should people vote for Urchin for NL Reads?
People should read Urchin because it is a story that is worth taking your time with, and it is a story that will reward you for taking your time with it. Any book that offers you the opportunity to slow down and really experience it is, I think, worthy of your vote and worthy of your time. Um, Beyond the importance of telling queer histories and reminding our modern readers that queerness has always been a part of our history and has always been at the center of so many communities. Beyond the importance of that, and it is important, it's just a fabulous story, and it will enchant you and delight you, and it will, like I said, it will reward a reader who takes the time to um, really let themselves be carried away by the book. The language is beautiful, and it is the kind of language that will build castles and caves and entire cities in your brain if you let it. It's
That's right.
also a sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say that's such a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, it's a challenging story as well. It may come off perhaps in the beginning as a simple story, but uh, it is it's unlike a lot of especially literature for younger readers that I've read. It doesn't offer easy answers. It doesn't offer easy characters. There are no simple characters in this book, and like you said earlier, they all really live in my brain, um, and they come off the page so easily. So if you want a whole cast of characters to take residence in your brain, read this book.
Wonderful, wonderful. Is there anything else you think our readers should, or our readers, our patrons should know about this going forward? If you're tied up, we can tie it up there.
No, I'm trying to think. If you enjoy a book that operates on countless levels at once, fast paced and worth poring over, and huge in scope, and also really tiny in scope, you'll enjoy this book.
Wonderful. Well, Mado, thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much for reading this book, for chatting with me about it today. Really, really appreciate it. And I suppose I'll see you on March 15th for our big finale.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.